All right, Lisa, listen to this quote from the guru. Kai transformed $400 into $317,000 in just 1 year selling on eBay.
Bart, if I had $1 for every time a guru promised me a 79,000% return, I wouldn't need a side hustle. That's not a business plan, that's a lottery ticket.
Hustle Happy Hour!
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Hustle Happy Hour. This is the podcast where two friends sit down, grab a drink, and react to videos from the internet's favorite entrepreneurship gurus.
We're not here to hate, and we're definitely not here to worship. We break down what actually makes sense, what's overhyped, and what might get you into trouble if you follow it blindly.
If you've ever watched a guru and thought, wait, is that really true? You're in the right place.
So pour a drink, pull up a seat, and let's get into today's hustle. The economy right now is, well, it's just plain weird. I don't think there's a better word for it.
Weird is a good word. It's unpredictable.
Right. If you look at the big macro headlines, everything feels so volatile. You've got traditional industries that are just shaking. Layoffs are still a huge story, especially in tech.
Oh, for sure. And the cost of living isn't exactly taking a nosedive either.
Not at all. But then, and this is the paradox, you pivot and you look at the data around individual wealth creation. And I'm talking specifically about people, say, under 30. And you see this completely opposite trend. These traditional safe career paths are getting shakier by the day, but at the same time, the barrier to entry for generating, say, a six-figure income, it's kind of just collapsed.
It's what some economists are starting to call the gatekeeper collapse. It's a really interesting phenomenon.
The gatekeeper collapse. Break that down.
Well, think about it. If you go back, I don't know, 10, maybe 15 years, you needed permission for almost everything.
Permission to what?
To distribute a product, to get your voice heard. You needed a publisher to get a book on a shelf. You needed a loan officer to even think about starting a retail store. You needed a network executive to get a show on a screen.
Right. There was always someone you had to convince first.
Always. Today, that infrastructure is basically open source. The gatekeepers, they're either gone or at the very least, they've lost the keys to the kingdom. You can just build your own kingdom now.
Which brings us perfectly to today's deep dive. We're going to be looking at a breakdown of the 2026 economic landscape, but specifically through this lens of the side hustle.
And that's a term we should be careful with.
I was just about to say that, because as soon as I say words like investor or wealth generation, I can feel half our audience just, putting up a wall. They think, okay, here it comes, the buy my course pitch is coming.
Down for my masterclass.
Exactly. Or here's my 7-step system to guaranteed wealth.
And you know what? That's a totally fair defense mechanism. I get it. The internet is absolutely flooded with grifters and gurus.
It is, but that's not what we're doing. We're not selling a course. We are dissecting a data set. The source material we're digging into today is a breakdown by a guy named Mark Tilbury.
Tilbury's a fascinating figure.
He really is. Because he's a self-made millionaire, sure, but his actual obsession isn't really money in the way you'd think. It's patterns. He's obsessed with finding patterns.
Arbitrage. That's his whole thing. He looks for these little pockets of inefficiency in the market. Where is attention being underpriced? Where is there a gap between supply and demand that no one else is seeing?
Exactly. So the source material we're working from today, it identifies 7 specific paths, 7 patterns that are generating over $100,000 a year right now.
And our mission for this deep dive isn't just to give you a list of cool jobs.
Yeah.
That's boring. We want to get into the mechanics. We want to understand why these specific models work in the 2026 economy.
And maybe more importantly, the specific friction points, the things you're going to hit if you actually try to do them. We're moving way beyond that generic advice of just start a business. Oh, that's the worst advice ever.
It's terrible advice. It's so vague. It's like telling someone who wants to get in shape, just be healthy. It doesn't mean anything.
It paralyzes people because where do you even start? What Tilbury does here is he gets really granular and he starts with a core philosophy that I think we have to unpack before we even get to the 7 paths.
What's that?
It's this simple idea: you don't need to reinvent success.
I feel like that statement attacks a very specific and very deep insecurity that a lot of us have.
How so?
We grow up with this romanticized story of the inventor. We think that to be successful, to be wealthy, you have to be Steve Jobs. You have to invent the next iPhone in your garage.
Or Mark Zuckerberg coding Facebook in a dorm room.
Exactly. You have to have that lightning in a bottle, 1 in a billion idea.
That's the great man theory of business. And honestly, it stops more people from even starting than anything else. Tilbury argues for something much more practical. Pattern recognition over pure blue sky innovation.
So like, copy what works. Not just copy. Understand why it works, and then apply that pattern. Think about it this way. If you wanted to open a successful burger joint in your town, do you need to invent a new type of meat?
No, of course not.
No. You need to look at what McDonald's does well. You look at what Shake Shack does well. You analyze their systems, their branding, their supply chain, and you execute that proven model in a location that needs it.
So it's really the difference between gambling on a completely new, totally untested concept versus executing a proven model, but maybe better or in a slightly different niche.
One is playing the lottery. The other is strategic execution. We're looking for base hits that you can string together, not a grand slam home run on your first try.
Okay, so to keep us grounded today and to make this really practical for you listening, we're going to use the same evaluation framework Tilbury uses in the source material. It's a scoring system.
Right. He rates each one on a scale.
A scale of 1 to 5 across 3 key metrics. First is time to learn. Basically, how long before you actually know what you're doing and aren't just faking it.
The competence curve.
Second, capital needed. How much cash do you actually have to burn up front to get this thing off the ground?
The financial barrier to entry.
And third, and this is the big one, the difficulty to reach $10,000 a month.
And we should probably pause on that number for a second. Why 10,000? It feels a little arbitrary, like a nice round number.
It does. I mean, why not 5,000 or 20?
Because it's a functional benchmark.
Yeah.
If you look at the data, in almost every major Western economy, the US, the UK, most of Europe, $10,000 a month, so $120,000 a year, is the statistical crossover point.
Crossover for what?
It's the point where you can fully replace a pretty good senior level corporate salary. It's the escape velocity number.
I like that. Escape velocity.
Right. Anything below that. And it's a nice side hustle. It pays for your car, maybe a vacation.
Yeah.
But once you cross that $10,000 a month threshold, now it's a real business. It's a business that lets you quit your job. It's the benchmark for true financial independence.
Okay, I get it. It's the point where the side hustle can become the main hustle.
That's the goal.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's look at the first path. And honestly, when I saw this one in the notes, I thought it was a joke or a typo. We are talking about the resurgence of what many people consider a dead marketplace, eBay.
The digital garage sale, the attic of the internet.
I mean, seriously, though, isn't eBay dead? The whole narrative for the last, 10 years has been that Amazon won the war. Game over.
Right. Amazon has the drones, the 2-hour delivery, the Prime subscription model. They have this insane logistics network.
Exactly. If I want something, anything, I just go on Amazon. Why would anyone looking to build a 6-figure business in 2026 even think about focusing on eBay?
Because the war you're talking about, the one Amazon won, was the war for convenience.
Okay.
Amazon completely won the war for commodities. If you need toothpaste or a generic phone charger or paper towels, you go to Amazon. You want it tomorrow, and you could not care less who the third-party seller is.
True. I never even look.
Nobody does. But the data shows something else is happening under the surface. If you look at the revenue numbers from mid-2025 for eBay, it was $2.7 billion
In a quarter.
in a quarter, and that's up 6% year over year.
Wait, really? 6% growth? That's not a dying company.
No, it's a quietly growing giant. And it's growing because it pivoted, it figured out its lane. While Amazon was optimizing for fast, eBay was secretly optimizing for specific.
Fast versus specific. I like that framing.
The resurgence of eBay is being driven by the collector economy, the circular economy. Think vintage clothing, refurbished electronics, specific hard-to-find car parts for a 1998 Honda.
So it's the difference between a Walmart and like a really well-curated antique auction or a swap meet.
That is the perfect analogy. And guess where the margins are higher?
The antique auction.
By a mile.
Yeah.
Because at the swap meet, you aren't competing with a massive factory in Shenzhen that's selling the same plastic widget for pennies on the dollar. You're selling something with scarcity, something unique.
Which leads us directly to the first case study from the source material, a guy named Kai Towers. And his story is, well, it's pretty heavy. This is not a kid who started with a trust fund.
Not even close.
He was orphaned young, never knew his father, was working this soul-crushing, dead-end job. He just felt like he'd completely hit a wall. So he decided to take control and turned $400, just $400, into $317,000 in 1 year on eBay.
Just stop and think about that return. That is nearly an 800x return on his initial capital. That is basically unheard of in almost any other asset class you can name.
But how? He wasn't just, selling old T-shirts from his closet.
No. And this is where that pattern recognition idea comes right back in. He didn't try to boil the ocean. He found a micro niche, a tiny little corner of the market.
Which was?
Gaming accessories. But even that is too broad. He got super specific. He wasn't just selling controllers because everyone sells controllers. He was selling performance modifications for them.
Like what?
Things like special thumbsticks that give you better grip, retro memory cards for old consoles like the GameCube, specific adapters that let you use a new controller on an old system, performance enhancers.
Okay, but why does that tiny distinction matter so much?
Because of buyer intent. It's all about intent. If someone goes on eBay and searches for PS5 controller, what do they get?
A million results, all identical.
A million results, and the decision comes down to who is $1 cheaper. It's a race to the bottom. But if someone searches for GameCube memory card 1019 block, that person is a serious buyer.
Right, they knew exactly what they need.
They are looking for a very specific item to solve a very specific problem. Kai completely validated the core thesis of the 2026 economy. All the real wealth is hiding in the niches. If he had tried to sell generic phone chargers, he would have been crushed by price competition. But by selling that one specific retro memory card that a passionate gamer needs to complete their collection, he has all the pricing power.
Let's get to the ratings for this, because there's a specific strategy mentioned here that I think is brilliant and applies to basically everyone, no matter what you're trying to sell. Tilbury gives time to learn a 1 out of 5.
Which makes sense. It's a very intuitive platform. You take a photo, you write a description, you set a price. It's not rocket science.
But for money needed, he also gives it a 1 out of 5. And this is where he introduces this concept of the house liquidation strategy. The advice is super explicit. Do not go out and buy inventory.
This is so critical. This is the first and biggest mistake most people make. They get all excited. They watch a YouTube video. They go on Alibaba. They spend $500 or $1,000 on a box of fidget spinners or whatever.
And then it just sits in their garage.
Sits there for months because nobody buys it and they get discouraged and quit. The house liquidation strategy is brilliant for 2 reasons. The first one is obvious.
It generates your seed capital.
Right. You're literally liquidating assets you already own. You go through your house and sell old clothes, electronics you don't use, books, whatever. You turn that clutter into cash. But the second reason is the one most people completely miss. It's about algorithmic trust.
Oh, okay, break that down for me. What does an algorithm care about trust?
Think about it from eBay's perspective.
Yeah.
What's their biggest problem?
Fraud. Scammers.
Exactly. They're fighting fraud constantly. So imagine a brand new account pops up today. It was created 10 minutes ago. And the first thing it does is list 50 high-value, high-scam risk items, like iPhones or rare sneakers. What does that look like to the algorithm?
It looks like a scam.
It screams fraud. It trips all the security sensors. So what does the algorithm do? It buries those listings. It throttles their visibility to protect buyers.
So you're basically invisible to the entire marketplace.
You might as well not exist. But if you follow the house liquidation strategy, you start by selling, I don't know, your old pair of sneakers for 20 bucks, a used blender for 10, some books for 5. And crucially, you ship them on time. You answer buyer questions. You are building a data trail.
You're proving you're a real person.
You're proving you're a reliable seller. You get your first 5, then 10, then 20 positive reviews. You are warming up the account so that when you do eventually spend that seed capital on real inventory, the platform actually trusts you enough to show your listings to real buyers.
So the first month is basically an unpaid internship you do with your own junk.
That's a perfect way to put it. You are buying your seller reputation with your labor, not your cash. It's de-risking the whole process.
Okay, and finally, the difficulty to $10,000 a month. He rates this a 2.5 out of 5. So not easy, but not super hard. Why the half point? Why isn't it easier if the margins are so good?
Logistics, plain and simple. This is not a digital-only business. It involves physical work. You have to store the items somewhere. You have to buy bubble wrap in boxes. You have to pack things. You have to print labels. You have to drive to the post office or arrange for pickups.
It's a real physical product business.
It is. And scaling to $10,000 a month in profit means you are moving a lot of product. If your average sale has, say, a $50 profit, that's 200 items a month you have to ship. That's 6 or 7 packages a day, every single day, including weekends. It's not passive income until you get to a scale where you can hire someone to do all the packing for you.
Got it. So it's high labor, but very low financial risk to start. Let's move to the second deep dive segment. This one feels much more intangible. It feels very 2026 to me. It's what Tilbury calls partnership brokerage.
Or, as I like to think of it, being the digital middleman.
The concept here is pretty simple on the surface. You connect brands with influencers, and you take a commission for making the deal happen.
It's the Uber or Airbnb model, but applied to the marketing world. You don't own the ad space. The influencer does. You don't own the product. The brand does. You just own the connection between the two.
But hang on, haven't influencer agencies been around for a decade? Why is this a specific opportunity right now?
Because of the massive accelerating fragmentation of attention. There was a New York Times report from May 2025, it's in our source notes, that really just cements this whole shift.
This is the TV viewership data, right?
Right, it was a genuine watershed moment in media. The report confirmed that streaming viewership, so Netflix, YouTube, etc., had officially surpassed broadcast and cable TV viewership combined for the first time ever.
Wow. The tipping point has been tipped.
It's been tipped. But the really shocking part was the breakdown within streaming. Who do you think is number one?
Gotta be Netflix, right?
That's what everyone thinks. But it's not. YouTube alone holds 12.5% of total TV viewership. So of all the time people spend watching a television screen, 1/8 of it is on YouTube.
1/8. That's insane. Where's Netflix?
Netflix is number 2, but they're way down at 7.5%.
So YouTube is almost double Netflix in terms of eyeballs on actual TV screens, not just phones.
Yes, on the main screen in the living room. Now think about what that means if you're an advertiser. Imagine you're the director of marketing at a big company like, say, Ubisoft or Acer, or even a legacy brand like Coca-Cola.
Okay.
10 years ago, your job was easy. You just bought TV spots during the Super Bowl or the evening news. You called one guy at NBC, you wrote one big check, and you reached millions of people.
Now the eyeballs you need to reach are watching a 22-year-old play Minecraft in his bedroom, or a guy who reviews new tech from his basement studio.
Precisely. And the 55-year-old marketing director at Ubisoft, who has an MBA from Wharton, doesn't know who Kai Cenat is. He doesn't know what a PogChamp means in a Twitch chat. He has no idea how to structure a corporate invoice for a 19-year-old living in a shared house in Austin.
There's a massive cultural and professional gap.
It's a chasm. The corporate suite and the creator bedroom might as well be on different planets. They don't speak the same language.
And the broker, the partnership broker, is the translator.
The broker is the bridge. They are bilingual. They can wear a suit, metaphorically, and speak the language of KPIs and ROI to the brand. And then they can turn around and send a DM to a creator that sounds authentic and actually gets opened.
The case study for this is a guy named Suhit Amin. And talk about resilience. This guy was diagnosed with cancer when he was 16.
It's an incredible story.
He built this entire business literally from his hospital bed.
He had nothing but time and a phone. That was his entire startup cost.
And he started with 0 contacts. Today, he's earning around $4 million a year, working with those giants we just mentioned. But the how, the actual tactic he used to start, is what I love. It's so simple. He used what Tilbury calls the Instagram suggestion method.
It's so beautifully lo-fi. It proves you don't need a bunch of expensive software or a database to get started.
So walk us through it. How does that method actually work?
Okay, so Suhit didn't go by some big database of influencers. He just found one creator that he personally liked. Someone whose vibe and audience felt like a good fit for the kind of brands he wanted to work with. He followed them.
Simple enough.
Then he went to their profile and clicked the little arrow that's right next to the follow button, the one that drops down a list of suggested for you accounts.
I know that button.
Right? Instagram's own algorithm literally just handed him a curated list of 10 or 20 other creators who have a very similar audience and the same style.
So the algorithm did all the market research for him for free.
Exactly. And he just went down the list and started sending DMs.
It feels too simple, though. If you just get a random DM that says, hey, I can get you a sponsorship, does anyone actually reply to that?
Creators do. You have to remember, most creators are terrible at business. They're creatives. They're artists. They want to make videos and engage with their community.
You don't want to be in sales.
They hate sales. They don't want to negotiate contracts or chase down late invoices or read through pages of legal jargon in a brand agreement. So if someone credible comes into their DMs and says, look, I love your work, I will bring you money, I will handle all the boring paperwork, and I'll just take a standard cut, that is an immediate yes for 90% of creators out there.
Let's talk about that cut, because The rating for difficulty to 10,000 a month is a 2 out of 5. Very achievable. But the math in the source material relies on a 30% margin. Is that realistic? It feels high for just sending some emails.
It's actually the industry standard for an agency or management model. It's usually between 20 and 30%. And you have to look at the value you're providing.
Go on.
If you secure a $7,000 sponsorship deal for a creator who was previously making $0 from that brand, they are more than happy to pay you $2,000. They aren't looking at it as losing $2,000. They're looking at it as gaining $5,000 they would never have had otherwise. You're not a cost. You're a profit center for them.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's do the math that Tilbury lays out. He says you just need one brand client to start.
Right. Land one good brand. Let's say it's a mid-sized tech company. You then structure a deal to run 5 sponsored segments for them across 5 different creators in your network.
And each deal is what, around $7,000?
That's a pretty standard number for a mid-tier creator with good engagement. So the total ad spend from the brand is $35,000. Your 30% cut of that is $10,500.
And that's pure profit.
100% profit.
Okay.
There's no inventory, no shipping costs, no warehouse. You are selling your ability to communicate, to organize, and to bridge that cultural gap.
But you have to be bilingual. You have to speak both corporate and Gen Z.
That is the core skill. That's why the time to learn is a 2 out of 5, not a 1.
Yeah.
You need extremely high emotional intelligence. You need to know how to be professional without sounding stiff to the creators, and how to be cool and casual without sounding unprofessional to the brand. It's a balancing act.
Okay, let's unpack this next one. Segment 3, the visual economy, specifically video editing.
This is basically the backbone of the entire internet right now.
The statistics cited in the source is just wild to me. Video now represents 82.5% of all global internet traffic.
82.5%. Let that sink in.
It basically means if you're a business and you don't have video content, you are functionally invisible online. But, okay, I have to play devil's advocate here. I have to be the skeptic.
Please do.
AI, we have OpenAI Sora. We have dozens of auto-editing tools. We have services where I can upload this entire deep dive recording, and a bot will automatically cut it into 20 different shorts with captions in 5 minutes. So why would I pay a human, like the case study Tom Natraz, $100,000 a year, when an AI can do a pretty good job for $20 a month? Isn't this career path about to go extinct?
It's the question everyone is asking. And it's a completely valid fear, but I think it misunderstands the actual role of a high-level editor. AI is, and will continue to be, absolutely incredible at technical execution.
What do you mean by technical?
It can cut out silences perfectly. It can sync audio and video from multiple cameras flawlessly.
Okay.
It can color correct based on a template. It can even generate generic B-roll footage. It can do the grunt work. But AI, at least for the foreseeable future, is absolutely terrible at emotion.
What do you mean by emotion in an edit? It's just cutting clips together.
Is it? Think about the last video that gave you the chills. That feeling.
Okay.
That feeling wasn't created just because the clips were in the right order. Editing isn't just about assembly. It's about pacing. It's about the subconscious feeling of the cuts. It's about knowing exactly when to cut the music out for a beat to create a moment of tension. It's about comedic timing, holding a shot for just an extra half second to make the joke really land.
Things a bot wouldn't understand.
A bot doesn't get the joke. AI works on pattern recognition. It can only mimic what has been done before. A great human editor creates a feeling, a rhythm, that hasn't been templated yet. They innovate.
So what you're saying is the low-end button pusher editor is dead.
Absolutely. Gone.
Yeah.
If your entire job is just cutting out the bad takes or adding captions, you are obsolete. You are competing with a script, and you will lose. But if you position yourself as a storyteller, which is what our case study, Tom Natraz, does, you are more valuable than ever.
Why more valuable?
Because the sheer volume of raw footage being produced is exploding. Every company has hours of it. They need someone, a human, to turn all that noise into a coherent, emotional signal.
That's a great distinction. AI raises the floor for quality, but it doesn't touch the ceiling.
Exactly.
And the case study, Tom Natraz, he went from being in university debt to earning over $100,000 a year editing for huge brands like Coca-Cola and Nintendo. And his advice for beginners is really interesting. He says, don't focus on flashy transitions.
That is the #1 rookie mistake. Everyone learns Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, and the first thing they want to do is use the star wipe, the spin blur, all the crazy shake effects.
They want to show off that they know how to use the tool.
Right. But if you actually sit down and analyze high-retention content. I mean, study a Mr. Beast video or a high-end documentary on Netflix. The cuts are actually incredibly simple.
It's almost all just hard cuts, one shot then the next.
Right. The magic isn't in the transition effect between the clips, it's in the narrative flow and, crucially, the sound design. Tom says to focus on mastering storytelling and music. That's what keeps the viewer locked in. If the story is boring, the fanciest spin transition in the world won't save it.
Okay, so let's look at the ratings. Time to learn is a 3 out of 5. It's not something you learn overnight.
It's a true craft. You can learn the software in a weekend on YouTube, but you learn the feel, the rhythm over a year of practice. It takes a lot of repetition to develop that intuition.
Money needed is a 1 out of 5. You can start on a basic laptop. You do not need the $5,000 Mac Studio to start cutting TikToks.
Please don't buy that first. Upgrade your equipment later using your profits.
And difficulty to $10,000 a month is a 3 out of 5. So, a bit more challenging. The path suggested here is the trade-up strategy.
Yes, this is so crucial for career progression in any freelance field. You don't start by pitching Nintendo. You start small. You find small YouTubers or Twitch streamers. Maybe they pay you $50 or $100 for a short video.
You're getting paid to learn.
Exactly. And you're building a portfolio. Once you have a portfolio of 10 videos that you're proud of, you stop pitching creators and you start pitching small businesses and brands.
Why the switch to brands?
Because a creator is spending their own money out of their own pocket. A brand is spending a marketing budget. A brand like Coca-Cola or Nintendo will pay 10 times what a YouTuber pays for the exact same amount of work, because the ROI of that video is exponentially higher for them. You trade up your client base as your skills improve.
All right, moving on to segment 4. This is a big one. E-commerce 2.0, or as Tilbury calls it, branded dropshipping. Now, you and I have discussed dropshipping before on this show, and usually it's in the context of please don't do this.
It has a truly terrible reputation, and in many cases, it's deservedly so.
Right, because of what he calls the old model of dropshipping.
The old model was basically arbitrage junk selling. It was a race to the bottom. You go on a site like AliExpress, find some cheap plastic widget for $2.
Slap a $50 price tag on it.
Exactly. You'd run a flashy Facebook ad, someone would buy it, and then they'd wait 4 to 6 weeks for shipping from China. The item would eventually arrive in a flimsy plastic bag with Chinese characters all over it, and it would probably break within a week.
That business model completely burns the customer.
It scorches the earth. You can make money once from that customer, but you can never build a real business because nobody's ever coming back to buy from you again. You have a 0% returning customer rate. It's not sustainable.
So what is branded dropshipping? How is it fundamentally different?
The back-end logistics model is actually the same. You still don't hold the inventory yourself. The product still ships directly from the supplier to the customer. But the entire philosophy and execution is completely different.
How so?
You are meticulously building a brand identity. You work with better suppliers who can offer custom packaging with your logo on it. You ensure faster, more reliable shipping times, usually 7 to 10 days max. You build a beautiful website on Shopify that looks and feels like a high-end boutique, not a sketchy scam site.
So you're taking a generic commodity product, but you're wrapping it in a story, a brand, and a layer of customer service.
Exactly. The value add is no longer the product itself. It's the curation, the trust, and the brand identity. You can take a generic $30 item, but because you've branded it beautifully and built trust, you can sell it for $80. Because people aren't just buying the item, they're buying into the lifestyle you're selling.
The case study here is Jimmy Barlow. He's making about $40,000 a month in profit. But what I really liked about this section of the source material was the timeline of truth. Tilbury gets very real and dispels the whole get-rich-quick myth that plagues this space.
Yes, this roadmap is essential for anyone considering this. It's about managing your expectations. He outlines a 6-month curve. Month 1, he says, is for setup and failure. I want to stress that word, failure. You will test products that don't sell. You will lose money on ads. That is part of the process.
And that's where 90% of people quit.
They lose $200 on Facebook ads, they panic, they go online and post drop shipping is a scam, and they quit. But month 2 is for data gathering. You're not trying to make a profit yet. You're just seeing what people click on, what they respond to. You are buying data.
And month 3?
Month 3 is when you start scaling what works. You turn off the losing ads and put more money behind the winners. He says it's only by month 6 that you can expect to have reliable, steady, predictable profit. If you aren't willing to lose money for 90 days to buy that data, This business model is not for you.
I love the ratings here because they perfectly reflect that reality. Time to learn is a 4 out of 5. This is actually pretty hard. You need to learn about Facebook ads, TikTok ads, website design, copywriting, branding, supply chain management.
It's a comprehensive business education in a box. You have to wear every single hat at the beginning.
But money needed is a 1 out of 5 because you don't buy the inventory up front. That's the one huge advantage of the drop shipping model. Your cash flow is so much better.
You don't risk thousands on products that might not sell.
Right. And difficulty to 10,000 a month is rated a 2 out of 5. The math, when you break it down, is surprisingly simple and encouraging.
It really is. To make $10,000 a month in profit, that's roughly $333 a day. If you're selling a product with a $25 profit margin per sale, which is very standard for branded dropshipping, how many sales do you need to make per day?
Let's see, about 13 or 14.
13 sales. You need to convince just 13 people a day in a world with billions of internet users to buy your product.
When you frame it like that, it stops feeling so impossible.
It becomes a solvability problem, not a possibility problem. You just have to figure out how to get your product in front of the right 13 people.
Let's talk about segment 5, the high-ticket creative. Specifically, we're talking about brand identity.
And this connects perfectly back to the branded dropshipping point. Why can one person sell a plain white t-shirt for $5 and a brand like Supreme can sell the exact same t-shirt for $100? Brand identity.
Now, to be crystal clear, we are not just talking about going on Fiverr and paying someone $50 to make you a logo.
No. That is the commodity layer of design. That work is being automated away. Brand identity is the entire visual language of a company. It's the fonts, the color palette, the tone of voice and the copy, the photography style, the whole vibe.
It's how a company presents itself to the world across every single touch point.
Exactly. And a market for this service is exploding. It was worth about $9.5 billion in 2024, and it's projected to hit $40 billion by 2032. Companies are realizing this is not a nice to have, it's a necessity.
There was one example in the source material that just made my jaw drop, the UK government's website.
Oh, the gov.uk refresh, that was a big story.
Yeah. They spent roughly £500,000, which is about 650,000 US dollars, on a logo refresh and an identity update for a government website.
People were understandably furious about that. Seemed like an insane amount of taxpayer money for a slightly different font and a new crown logo.
But from a cold, hard business analysis perspective, why on earth did they do it? What's the justification?
One word: trust. When you are a government or a bank or a massive insurance corporation, trust is a tangible asset class. If a cleaner, more consistent, more professional visual identity makes just 1% more people trust the website enough to pay their taxes online or use a digital service without calling a helpline.
That efficiency saves millions of dollars in the long run.
It saves tens of millions.
Yeah.
Suddenly, that $650,000 investment in perceived legitimacy and usability has a massive positive ROI.
And that's the value proposition that Jack Watson, the case study here, tapped into. And he has a wild background. He was an accountant.
Can you imagine a bigger pivot? He left the world of spreadsheets to become a high-end designer.
He taught himself everything he needed to know about design in just 6 months. He used this method he calls monk mode, just total obsessive immersion. And now he charges $10,000 for a single brand identity project.
And this is all about the power of positioning. If Jack called himself a graphic designer, he'd be competing with the guys on Fiverr charging $50. He'd be seen as a cost. By positioning himself as a brand identity consultant, he's competing with big agencies. He anchored his price to the value he creates for the business, not the number of hours he spends in Photoshop.
Let's look at the ratings. Time to learn is a 4 out of 5. This is not easy. You need to build a portfolio. You need to really study design theory, color theory, typography.
You have to do the work. There's no shortcut.
But the difficulty to $10,000 a month is a 2 out of 5. And that's because of the incredible leverage you get with high-ticket sales.
Right. Let's say you're just starting out and you charge $2,500 for a basic branding package, which is actually quite cheap for a serious business. You only need to land 4 clients a month to hit your $10,000 target.
4 yeses a month.
You don't need a huge volume of customers. You just need a few high-quality clients. You don't need to find 100 people to pay you. You need to find 4. It's a much more targeted approach.
Okay, segment 6, the attention architects. This is all about short-form strategy.
Or, as I like to call it, capitalizing on the addiction economy.
The stats here are genuinely terrifying. The average TikTok user opens the app 20 times a day
20 times.
and spends a total of 90 minutes scrolling every single day.
90 minutes. An hour and a half of pure, focused human attention is being sucked into that algorithm every day from every user.
It's a dark reality, but it's where the market is. And the opportunity Tilbury identifies here isn't necessarily being the person dancing in the video, it's being the strategist behind the video.
Correct. You have all these businesses, local gyms, real estate agents, coffee shops, dentists. They all know they need to be on TikTok and Instagram Reels. They know that's where all the attention is gone. But a 50-year-old real estate agent has no clue how to do a cool transition or what audio is trending this week or how to write a 3-second hook that actually stops the scroll.
And that's where Noah Briley, the case study, comes in. This kid made $100,000 before he turned 18.
Before he was legally old enough to vote, he was making a 6-figure income by reverse engineering viral clips.
He didn't treat it like an art. He treated it like a science. He would literally sit there with a spreadsheet and analyze viral videos. He'd track the hook, the pacing, the number of cuts, the patterns. He wasn't just being creative. He was an engineer of human attention.
He looked at the data. He'd see, okay, videos that start with a colon get 20% more retention in the first 3 seconds. So he would just tell his clients, start every video with a question. It's a system.
I really like the pricing model that Tilbury suggests for this service. It cleverly solves the problem of how do I charge for this? Because a lot of clients are scared to pay a big monthly retainer if they don't know if the videos will even work.
Yes, the base plus bonus model. It's brilliant. You charge a base retainer, say $2,000 a month. That covers the work of filming, editing, and posting the content. That pays your bills and keeps the lights on.
So your time is covered.
Your time is covered. But then you add a performance bonus that's directly linked to views or virality.
For instance, you could say, and for any video that hits over 100,000 views, you pay me an extra $500.
Exactly. This perfectly aligns your incentives with the client's goals. They are more than happy to pay that bonus because it means the video was a huge success and brought them a ton of exposure. And you are deeply motivated to actually make the content perform, not just churn it out to collect the retainer. You're not just an expense for them anymore, you're a partner in their growth.
The ratings on this one are pretty striking. Time to learn is a 1 out of 5.
It's pattern recognition. If you are already a heavy consumer of TikTok or Reels, you intuitively understand the patterns. You just have to start paying conscious attention to them.
And money needed is also a 1 out of 5. You literally just need a decent smartphone.
It's the lowest barrier to entry of all 7 of these from a technical and financial standpoint. But you do have to have the eye for it. You have to understand the culture of the platform.
Okay, let's get to our final segment. Segment 7, the Wealth Keeper. This is all about investing. Now, Tilbury makes a very important distinction here. The first 6 paths we've talked about were all active hustles. They are about generating cash flow. This one is different.
This is about wealth preservation and ultimately wealth creation. Mark Tilbury himself, the source for all this, now makes $17,000 a week in passive income from his investments. But he absolutely did not start there.
Right. And his core philosophy for this section is simple. If your money isn't working for you, you will always work for it. But this one has a very, very different rating profile from the others.
Drastically different. Specifically, the difficulty to $10,000 a month is a 4 out of 5, the hardest one on the list.
That seems high. I feel like everyone says investing is easy now. Just buy an index fund. You can do it from an app on your phone.
The mechanism of investing has become incredibly easy, but the outcome of generating significant income from it is very, very hard. To generate $10,000 a month in passive income safely, using a standard 4% withdrawal rate that financial planners recommend, you need a capital base of about $3 million.
Okay, yeah. So you can't just side hustle your way to a $3 million stock portfolio overnight.
No, that takes years, or more likely decades, of patient compounding. So you might be asking, why even include it in a list for students or beginners who are trying to make their first dollar?
It's a good question. It seems out of place.
It's here because of the money needed to start rating a 1 out of 5.
Because of fractional shares.
Exactly. Thanks to fractional shares, you could literally start investing with $1. The point isn't to make $10,000 a month tomorrow from your stocks. The point is that if you take the money you make from your eBay store or your video editing clients or your brokerage deals, and you consistently funnel it into this investing machine, eventually that machine will grow big enough to replace your active income entirely.
So it's the end game. It's the final step.
It is. The side hustle builds the capital, the investing builds the freedom. If you don't start the investing machine early, even with small amounts, you will be stuck on the hustle treadmill until you're 80 years old.
So we've covered 7 distinct paths: the eBay reseller, the partnership broker, the video editor, the branded dropshipper, the brand identity consultant, the short-form strategist, and finally, the investor. When you pull back and look at these all together, what's the common thread? What's the pattern that connects a guy selling vintage video games to a guy designing corporate logos?
The common thread, the single connecting tissue, is digital leverage. In every single one of these examples, you are using the power of the internet to fundamentally disconnect your time from your output.
So you're breaking the time for money equation.
Completely. On eBay, your listing is working for you, selling to someone across the country while you're asleep. In video editing, you create a digital asset one time that can then be watched by thousands or millions of people. In brokerage, you are leveraging other people's audiences and other people's products. You're not trading an hour of your life for a fixed amount of pay. You're building systems that trade value for money.
And Tilbury calls this the wealth portal concept.
Right. The idea is that these 7 paths aren't secrets. They're validated, proven portals to wealth that are wide open right now. The secret isn't the idea itself. The secret is the discipline to pick one portal and walk through it, instead of just staring at all 7 and never taking a step.
So here's our final provocative thought for you listening. Take a second and reflect on your current income, the money you made this week. Are you being paid for your time, a linear 1 hour in equals 1 unit of payout relationship, or are you being paid for the value and the leverage you create?
And if the answer is time, that's completely okay. That's where most of us start. But the mission, starting today, should be to start building a bridge, even a small one, from the land of time to the land of leverage.
And please do not try to do all 7 of these at once.
Oh God, no. Shiny object syndrome will absolutely kill you. You will do a little bit of everything and accomplish nothing. You'll make $0.
Pick one of these patterns, just one that resonates with you, and commit to studying just that one thing for the next 30 days. Commit to the boredom of learning the fundamentals, except that the first month is probably going to suck.
Because as Kai and Suhyat and all the others in these case studies proved, you don't need to reinvent success. You just need to recognize the pattern and have the discipline to execute it.
The landscape of 2026 is wide open, but it rewards focus above all else.
So Lisa, what's the final verdict? Is this good advice, situational advice, or pure hustle hype?
It's situational advice. The business models are real. Video editing and brokerage are massive industries. But the difficulty ratings are pure hustle hype. Making $10,000 a month as a student is never a 2 out of 5 difficulty level. It's a grind.
Agreed. It's a great idea generator, but don't quit your day job thinking you'll hit $10,000 by next Tuesday. All right, let's see what the YouTube crowd thinks in the comment section. The supportive one. Finally, a guru who uses a scrapbook. It makes the $10,000 goal feel like a school project I can actually finish.
The skeptical one. So to make $10,000, I just need to join the wealth portal for 3 hours. Is the side hustle selling the course to me?
And the unhinged/funny one. Mark, I tried the eBay thing and sold my roommate's bed while he was sleeping. I'm already at $200. Is this a 1 out of 5 difficulty or a 5 out of 5 crime?
And that's it for today's session at Hustle Happy Hour. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to level up and build something big.
If you want more, check out our other videos where we deconstruct more guru gems and traps. And hey, if there's a video you want us to react to next, drop it in the comments below or send us a link. We're always looking for the next hustle to deconstruct.
Until next time, stay spicy, but keep the hustle real and keep the drinks cold. Cheers.